What's up, Internet? Welcome to a Claruseless, for now, nightly morning show. Because my name's Nerdy. We get nerdy nightly. And we thought we'd share it with you. That is right. Welcome back to the nightly morning show. Guys, Clarus is dealing with a phone call at the moment, and so I don't know how to start the show. Because the first question we always ask here is, how you doing, Clarus? What's new, you know? And she's not here. So let's say hi to chat. Rhiannon Cates, hello. Tython Nisk, Half-Blood Tara, Richard Sim 7, Rock Mage 1, so many numbers, so many friends in the chat. Want to say a good nightly morning show morning to you all. Thanks for being here. We have some news to talk about. We have stuff going on. Clarus is just not here. Blue, what's up? Love seeing the Nargs in the chat. What's up to our Nargs? The members of our YouTube channel. Y'all, it was a crazy weekend. Since Clarus isn't here, can I talk football? Am I allowed to, talk football because there's no Clarus? I think that's the rules, right? Because I want to bring up, y'all, I want to bring up how crazy it was to watch Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady lose at the same time. Same weekend. It brought me some joy. Definitely brought me some joy. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers losing this weekend. I didn't know how much joy it was gonna bring me, but after the whole oh no, I'm not vaccinated, I'm immunized thing with Rodgers, and just the last 22 years of Tom Brady, I don't have any great dislike for Tom Brady. I'm a Giants fan, and so those northeastern states, we've had to deal with him for so long, and it just brings me joy to watch him lose. Really, it really does. Well, you guys are saying the beginning gets cut off for you. I wonder if that's a part of the stream, the way this stream works on YouTube. Maybe we'll go to a just starting screen for a few seconds, and then we'll come into the show in the future. The entire country united in joy. Y'all, there were so many jokes about Aaron Rodgers losing that game that they were just too prepared. Comedians were too ready for Aaron Rodgers not to win that game. Yeah, God, it was good. It was a good weekend for football. Crazy games, 3 road losses, and I have a wife.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh, y'all, babe, I don't know how to do this show without you. It's really hard.
Sure. I'm sure you were great. Hi.
Hi.
What?
Your shirt looks inside out, but in an intentional way. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
This is the nightly morning show, and we have a Clarus, which means I can finally ask the all-important question of the week. How you doing, Clarus?
I'm good. I was not expecting Amazon to call at 10:59 being like, hi, can't find your place. I mean, I was expecting them to call because they can never find the place, but... Yeah,
they can never find this apartment.
But I wasn't expecting it to do it as it's supposed to be here for the show.
Is this an apartment?
It's
yes. Not, right?
Well, it's not an apartment building, but we rent an apartment in a townhouse complex.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's one of those weird things where I've only ever had small shoe boxes that now that we have space, I'm I don't know what to call it anymore.
You're this is not an apartment. Too many square
there's
feet.
Floors.
Yeah.
I have different floors.
Mm-hmm.
I can go, I don't have to go into common space to go down my own stairs. This is so...
Yeah.
One of the things I love about being so close to 30 is that the dumbest shit excites me now. Genuinely, the dumbest things get me so excited to be alive. And one of them is that, I have a basement. And, 24-year-old me would be why are you excited about this, you old man?
We have a nice vacuum.
We have a nice vacuum, and I love it. Yeah. I love having a nice vacuum.
Mm-hmm. We're getting old.
I've never owned a vacuum before. Yeah, I've only had one vacuum.
Yeah, I don't
Well, my parents had a vacuum.
Yeah.
But then I lived in these small... Why would I vacuum?
My grandparents gave me this 30-year-old vacuum when I moved to Toronto, and it did not do anything.
No, my parents still use the same vacuum from when I was a kid. and it has this long cord that's like 100 feet long. And you just, you like you put the cord over your shoulder and you like unwrap how much you need and you just like plug it in somewhere and they just vacuum the whole house from that one plug. It's probably a huge health hazard. Like,
yeah, that thing
cable
needs to be burned.
We're lucky we never had any like significant issues. But this is the nightly morning show where we talk about the world of news, the world of content, shenanigans, what other things.
Yeah.
And before we get into it today, I just want to mention to everyone who is concerned, we have actually started watching Arcane. We're 3 episodes in.
To everyone who is concerned, yes.
Frankenbeans, we are 3 episodes into Arcane. Your Great National Nightmare has come to an end, and we will have a video. Well, I don't know what we're going to do. We might do like a live spoiler chat when we're done it or something. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
But that's not really news because that show is old as hell at this point.
It's like a month old.
Oh, yeah, but...
It's ancient.
Where do you want to start today? Do you want to start with video game news? Do you want to start with movie news? Do you want to start with... What kind of news do you want to...
Video games.
Video game news. All right, y'all, let's go to the big story of the week. We're a little bit behind on this one, obviously, because we record Monday mornings. But the big news of the week is that Microsoft has purchased Activision Blizzard King for $68.7 billion. And the world erupted with a unified, just make it 69. It's so much funnier if it's 69. Why not just say 69?
Yeah.
You were so close, Microsoft.
You're so close. You could have done it, but you only half-assed it, and you didn't use your whole ass, and honestly, we're disappointed.
Yeah, they're living up to the whole Microsoft name, right?
Wow.
But Clarus, what was your knee-jerk reaction before you thought about it? What was your knee-jerk reaction to hearing that?
My knee-jerk reaction was like, does that make them a monopoly? Which is crazy because they're not at all. They're the 3rd largest.
I don't know that I agree with that.
I mean,
I think Microsoft...
By technical definition of a monopoly, no.
The thing about Microsoft that gets complicated is that they now own the software side, the hardware side of gaming with Xbox, and they own with Windows and Game Pass and all that, and they own the studios that actually make the games. And so in terms they own the entire means of production for video gaming for a large section of the gaming community, right?
I guess. They don't sell PC parts at least, but...
Yeah, but you can't, unless you're going to game on a Linux, and look, Valve is working their ass off to get as many as many of their library titles on Linux as possible before the Steam Deck comes out. Until Linux is a legitimate competitor for Windows PC gaming, which it just isn't right now, right? Or if Mac OS becomes a legitimate competitor, which I don't think it ever will. I don't see Mac OS ever being a legitimate competitor. Microsoft owns Windows, right? Asus can make a graphics card, but that graphics card has to be compatible with Windows.
Right.
And so Microsoft now owns kind of I'm not going to say a majority, but a near majority on almost every level of gaming. And so to say it's not a monopoly, it kind of is in a lot of ways. And there isn't a competitor that could possibly compete. Sony could not put together a competitor for Game Pass if they tried at this point. There aren't enough studios left. Microsoft already bought them.
Yeah. And I think that's what it was, right? It was this rush to I think that's what Game Pass was always going to be. Was this acquisition of as many a far enough spread of games and companies that even when somebody makes a competitor for Game Pass, it will happen that they will not be able to really hold a candle to it in the same sense, right?
Yeah.
I think there will definitely be Game Pass subscriptions for perhaps more niche areas of the gaming industry, or just keep it really small and you charge less. That's always an option, but Game Pass is always and forever, I think, going to be the biggest competitor out there.
Game Pass is going to change everything now. Yeah. Because Tithanisk in our chat is saying what pisses me off is those with those buys is that some franchises I like will never be on PS5. They will. They will, but you're going to be playing Game Pass on your PS5 within 4 years.
4 years. All right.
The only way this makes sense is if you can, or their goal, Microsoft's goal is they have to be aiming towards putting Game Pass on everything.
Yeah.
And that means PlayStations as well, which means PlayStations will essentially be Xboxes.
Well, and like Sony is going to have to end up paying out the ass to have that on their devices, right? Because they're going to want to continue to sell PlayStations and games for it. However, if people are like, well, I want Game Pass, so that puts PlayStation out of the question. Like, that's a problem for Sony.
I don't know. I don't think Sony would have to pay anything. I think Microsoft would gladly allow Game Pass on PlayStations for free. Because here's the thing. Microsoft doesn't care about Xbox sales. Obviously, they do. They want to sell the ones that they make. But at the end of the day, their goal is to put Game Pass in every home in North America, right? And then ultimately the world.
Yeah.
Their goal is to have as many people on Game Pass as possible. They're not going to charge Sony for if Sony's like, oh, fine, we'll let people pay for your service on our platform.
Yeah.
Microsoft will jump at that opportunity. Right now, Sony doesn't want to do that because then why buy a PS5?
Yeah, it's true. We do know for a fact that like Microsoft, their major concern is not Xbox console sales. They don't make a ton of money off of that.
No, their margins are super low.
Yeah, they don't actually really care about selling Xboxes in comparison to things like Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
Game Pass is what's going to make them money.
Rockman is saying they disagree. I would wager that Game Pass never goes to PS5. It's definitely possible that it doesn't. I just think that like Microsoft has openly said that is one of their goals. They've made it very clear that is the direction they want to head.
Yeah.
And if you're PlayStation, I don't know that you have a choice. I don't think PlayStation has a choice to say no long term, because if next Call of Duty is Game Pass exclusive, which it could be, Call of Duty could legitimately go Game Pass exclusive. And there's a lot of people who are going to be banging on Sony's door. And if Microsoft is out there going, yeah, it's a Game Pass exclusive, we will happily let you play it on PlayStation 5s if Sony lets us download our software on their system.
Yeah.
Then the onus becomes on PlayStation to have a system that plays the best games. And here's the thing. I think that the PlayStation 5 is a better system than the Xbox Series X because of the games. Because of Spider-Man 2 coming, because of God of War coming, because of the Sony exclusives. Whereas there are no exclusives on an Xbox because they're all on my PC. And I'm very privileged to have a gaming PC that can run those things, and I'm very aware of that, right? What is important moving forward is going to be access to games and a cost-effective access to games. With full-size games costing $90 in Canada, we pay $11 a month for Game Pass, and we have access to more games than we could ever afford.
Yeah.
Or ever have enough time to actually play through all of them.
Yep. And that's how they get you, right? Because the cost of, like, if it's $11 a month, you're basically buying, like, a game and a half over the course of a year, but you have access to, like you said, more than you could really
It's insane.
ever play. And it's funny, we've been talking about this, we've been talking about Microsoft and Sony since we started doing the morning show, because, you know, they're big companies, they're big news. And when and this whole thing with Xbox not having exclusives, you know, in my head I was like, what is Xbox doing? They're shooting themselves in the foot. And now I see it. Now I see exactly what they're doing.
It is more important for them to have people sign up for Game Pass than it is anything else. And it's the same reason why Windows went to a subscription model. It's the same reason why Adobe Photoshop and the Adobe Creative Cloud is a subscription model. It's why we pay out the butt every month for Adobe, right?
Yeah.
These companies realize that all they have to do is release a product, make sure that no one really competes with them, and then make sure that you have to pay them monthly for it. And I'm starting to hate it. I kind of hate Game Pass, but I have Game Pass because I can't afford to not have Game Pass because this is what I do for a living. It is becoming a I was listening to an episode of the Daily Podcast, and they were talking about the metaverse and how the metaverse is going to be this thing that just slowly consumes more and more of our life.
What's the metaverse?
The metaverse is the concept of an online digital space where we spend the majority of our time, a la Ready Player One.
Okay, yeah.
I think the term originally came from a book called Snow Crasher, a sci-fi novel,
okay.
And has been used for, The Matrix is a metaverse, right?
Okay, yeah.
And recently, a lot of these companies And Microsoft has straight up said that this merger with Activision Blizzard King is about the metaverse, is about them trying to expand their moves into the metaverse.
Yeah.
And I think that what is important to acknowledge is like, we're kind of already in the metaverse. I spend the majority of the time with my friends online.
Yeah.
Because of COVID right now, like COVID has shifted us into the metaverse a little bit faster, but I think we would have gone down this path either way.
Definitely. But yeah, COVID has been like, has kind of been that shove down the hill in a sense, because people are now, this is not what people are used to.
Well, but it just gets to how many subscriptions are you going to have a job? You know what I mean? Like, we're getting to a point where it's like, if you want to work in any field, if your meetings are on Zoom, if you're, at what point is it that we are paying just to have access to the basic needs of work and of society? And how, my biggest concern with the metaverse is going to be access for the majority to the metaverse being cost effective in a way that it is equitable, right?
Yeah.
And, the weird thing about Game Pass right now is that Game Pass is making gaming equitable in a weird way, because most people can afford it. The majority of people can afford, if you have it, now the system to play those games obviously is a different expense, right? But if you have a system already and you can't afford to buy a new game for $90 when it comes out, but you have Game Pass, you get Halo Infinite day one for $11 that month.
Yeah.
That is a lot more affordable. And so there is like a weird, like, it is making some things more equitable while also teasing this future where things are not going to be very equitable.
Yeah. Yeah. Richardson brings up a good point that internet connectivity should be treated as a utility and not a luxury. And it's going to have to be in the future. I mean, for what we do, especially, we can already like write off the internet on taxes and things like that. But like guaranteeing internet to every home is going to have to be the norm moving forward. Otherwise, like, this is getting like really in the weeds, but otherwise, like, the divide between like the rich and and middle class and the poor class who cannot afford the laptop to give their kids to send to school with, or have good internet at home so that they can do the work that has to be done. That's a terrifying problem that we're gonna have to come up with. And here in Canada it's especially bad because you have Bell and you have Rogers and they both suck ass. And TELUS is also in certain areas as well. But they jack up their internet prices as high as they want because it doesn't matter. They can do anything. And that's terrifying. Yeah,
it's tough. And it's only going to get tougher in the next years. I think that it's going to be noticeable how these conversations are going to be more and more prevalent as we get more and more into the society. I think that one of the things about the pandemic that has really put this in the forefront is multiple children families just struggling to get all of their kids onto a Zoom. There's separate Zoom classes because you need a stable internet connection to have 5 HD videos running into your house for your 5 kids who are in different grades, right?
Yeah.
And that is and that's hoping that the parents aren't working on a VPN that is sucking up a bunch of your bandwidth, right? No, but these are real things that we have to consider right now.
Because everyone's working from home as well.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say everyone. A lot of
people are.
I want to be just clear about that. Yeah. But it is interesting.
And it's more work from home here in the States. It's much more open. We're fully in lockdown right now. We can't go anywhere. We're
speaking from our experience here in Canada right now. But you can't You can't walk into most places and hand in a resume anymore. No. There's an online system that you have to go through. You have to jump through hoops and luckily libraries still exist, but they wouldn't if they hadn't have been instituted forever ago. I don't even know how old libraries are.
Can you imagine trying to convince people to build libraries now?
No.
Then no one would go for it. No one would think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say about this is I am hopeful that Microsoft takes this opportunity to kick all of the Activision and Blizzard employees who suck out. Just fire Bobby Kotick.
Snip snap.
Maybe in an embarrassing way. Maybe I don't know.
Kick him to the curb, literally.
Just some humiliation would be fun.
Yeah, that's the only silver lining I can see out of this is hopefully they do the right thing.
But it's only silver lining if it happens. Right now, we don't even know if that's going to happen, right?
Yeah, we shall see.
Let's move on though. I think we've talked about that. We're late on it. It doesn't matter to us. There's not a lot of games from this company that we play, so...
No, and like,
Except
people
Spider-Man.
have already said everything that, you know, we're...
Is Insomniac under Activision? Or did Activision just make the old Spider... It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We will probably play some of these games, but that's because we have Game Pass. Let's stick with some video game news. Y'all, this was our title story today. Did Team Rocket leak Pokemon Legends Arceus? Because that game is out in the world.
Yeah. You can watch everything.
You can watch the entire game, or you can be spoiled on the entire game by opening YouTube and seeing thumbnails that are just straight up spoilers for the final fight.
Yeah, if you put spoilers in your thumbnails, you are the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
Like, I hope that you always have a hangnail. Because, what is wrong
That's so
with you?
mean.
Yeah. So is spoiling in thumbnails.
I know. I've been spoiled on the end of Arceus already, and I'm really upset about it. It's Serge Amaris is playing it right now. Oh man,
I'm jealous.
I'm not. I don't dig the spoiler. I don't dig the leak culture.
No, I don't dig that. I mean, like, I'm looking forward to playing the game, but I don't ever look up spoilers, or I don't ever look up leaked footage. I don't ever look up like any leaks.
And there are different kinds of leaks, right? Like the Pokedex leaked, and I looked at that because I don't think that spoils the game for me to know who the new Pokemon are. I think Nintendo should have been running campaigns about all the new Pokemon to get us hyped for it. I don't know why they're hiding it. It's very weird to me.
Because some of them don't look good.
Yeah, but that shiny Zoroark, the new shiny Zoroark, that purple though, is fire.
Okay, so one Pokemon.
It's literal fire. The new Samurott looks really good.
All right.
The new I think it's Ghost Water Samurott, or no, Typhlosion's Ghost. The new Samurott looks really cool. There's a lot of really cool Pokemon coming to the game. I'm excited to play it. I'm more excited now that I've seen some of seen people talking about it. Some of the stuff coming out of the Japanese press who've already played the game was really hot on it. But if you do want to watch the game, people are streaming it on Twitch right now. And thanks, I hate it.
Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah, and they're playing, and the crazy part is they're not even playing it on the Switch. They're playing it on an emulator. So the files have been ripped, moved to an emulator. People are already emulating new Switch games.
Wild. Yeah. That's wild. Yeah, if you spoil in thumbnails, you are the worst, and I don't like you.
Yeah, but also, like, people do it for clout, I guess, but you're just shooting your own content in the foot.
Well, no, and if you do that, guaranteed, people will click onto it and in the comments engage with the video, being like, you spoiled it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You know, people try and make people mad for engagement, and it works.
But you will lose your channel. Is what I'm saying. Like,
what?
Like, if you are the kind of person who does these practices to get viewership, eventually you're going to lose monetization, or you are going to lose your channel, right? Like, the copyright strikes that you get from making this kind of content are super dangerous. It's why you aren't seeing the big streamers do it.
Yeah.
In the short term, it feels like it's helping you out, right? But in the long term, it is not good for, if you are a content creator and you're like, oh, I'm going to get an edge up on other people by playing Arceus early. I'm telling you right now, that is not the right way to build your community. You are going to cause problems for yourself in the long term. Yeah. Either because if you become known as a leaker, people are going to they're going to click on your content for that. Yeah. And if they click on your content for that, you have to be leaking all the time, and that is a risky business to get into.
It's risky business.
Second of all, eventually you will lose monetization on your YouTube channel, and you will lose monetization. We have friends who have lost monetization for much simpler stuff than that.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you get to any scale where you start making real money at it, if you're streaming to like 6 viewers, whatever, right? They're not going to crack down on you. But if you get to any scale where you start making money at it, they're going to crack down on the fact that that's what your content is.
Yeah.
And you're going to either have to pivot at that point and hope to God that your audience comes with you, which most of the time they won't, unless you're really funny. Or you're going to just lose all of the stuff you've built up and have to start from scratch again.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's just not, it isn't a good practice.
Well, and yeah, especially
Lundoav?
Sorry, I'm just butchering your name, and I really apologize. But Nintendo especially, they do not mess around. Even remember when they did the Nintendo Direct, and they're like, you're not allowed to react to this. And we did it anyway. So did everybody else. But like, yeah, Nintendo is
well,
very...
we did it to I like, if they hadn't said that, we were still going to do it. But like, once they said that, like, if we will sue you if you co-stream the video.
Yeah,
I was like, well, now I have to co-stream your video because you can't sue me for that.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally nothing you can sue me for that.
No.
That's not illegal.
Yeah.
It is a public live stream. I have every right within American and Canadian copyright law to co-stream your video. You can't just claim that it's against the law because you want it to be.
Yeah.
It's absurd. Also, it's absurd for you to say that you don't want us to react to it. That's the market of this.
Yeah. That's why you are doing this. Like, that is why you're putting... It just... yeah.
Let's move on. 'Cause it's same topic. But talking about Nintendo and their very religious copyright claims practices. There was a game designer. His name is Dragon_GameDev2 on Reddit. He made a challenge for himself to make a new video game every month in 2022. And so for January, the game that he created was a first-person shooter. Pokemon game where you have a shotgun and you shoot Pokemon. I can't show the video on stream, but I'm showing Clarus right now, and this is her reaction.
Why? Literally, like, why would you...
Is it gonna load?
I don't know.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah.
Why? So
he made that game, and Nintendo's response to it was copyright claiming it everywhere. You cannot go on Reddit. It is still up because Reddit is notoriously difficult to have things removed from. But the Twitters, the YouTubes, Nintendo has gone around and shut this game down.
Fair?
Oh, 1,000% fair.
Like, I'm like, that's kind of like that is literally stealing.
Well, he wasn't selling it.
Okay.
So it's not theft, it's like IP infringement. It's just a different, it's dumb, it's just a different thing, but it is a first-person shooter of a children's game.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing, is the Nintendo brand is at stake with his game, and of course, they jumped on this as soon as possible. I am not surprised.
So, my question is, what do you think that this means for that Pal World game that we reacted to?
Well, that one's not literal Pokemon.
Yeah, but it's like close enough. Like I wonder if Nintendo's going to try
and monsters, then maybe, but
fair. I wonder if Nintendo's going to try and shut that one down too.
They might be trying. I don't think that like I don't really think that they have grounds for that because it's like inspired by, right?
Yeah, it's an homage to Pokemon, but with murder.
Yeah.
Murder.
I guess.
I don't say murder the way that you say murder.
Murder.
It's one of my favorite things that you do. I just love the way that you say that. I think it's so funny.
It happened like one time in like Subnautica.
Yeah, when the fish got eaten by the plant.
And it stuck.
Oh, it lives in my brain rent free.
I don't know where that one came from.
It's still a violation whether you sell it or not. That is complicated because that's not 100% true. And
but it is kind of true, and that's why it's weird.
It is occasionally true. IP law in the United States is so complicated. It's so absurdly complicated, intentionally so, right? They don't want it to be clear, because then people would find loopholes. But the loopholes within the loopholes of copyright law in the United States are bonkers weird. And no one understands it, except Jeff Bezos. Yeah. Jeffrey Bezos, a notorious fanatic about copyright law. It's his favorite thing. It's super weird.
Are you making up the news?
I'm 100% making up the news.
Cool.
Speaking of making up the news, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for everybody's favorite segment. Clarus makes up the news.
It's too early for this.
It's the same time every week.
No, it's not. It's usually near the end of the show.
We're 30 minutes in.
That's like the halfway point.
Which is when we do this segment. What are you talking about?
It's usually later, okay?
No, it's not. Sometimes I do it at the beginning of the show to mess you up.
True. Because it's normally at the end of the show, and that's why it messes me up.
All right. Make up the news. Come on. 130 times we've done this.
Yeah, and it doesn't get easier. Because every time I make up the news, I've already, like, used up something. You know, I can't, like, give you another plot of another Spider-Man movie. Like...
I mean, you could. You could try to be like, here's the plot of Spider-Man 4.
Didn't I do Spider-Man? Didn't I make
idea.
up the plot of Spider-Man No Way Home before it came out?
I wish I could say I remembered all the times you've made it the news, but I legitimately don't. There goes the laptop or the iPad.
It's fine. It's just an iPad.
It's just an iPad.
You know what, Rock Mage? It might have. All I'm saying is it might have been helpful.
10 more minutes would not have helped. Rock Mage is absolutely correct. 10 more minutes
that.
would not have prepared you for the news in any way.
You're right, Richardson. I could repeat them and Nerdy would not remember.
I would, once you're in it, I would remember.
You'd be like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Deja vu.
Yeah, it's like when I'm like... I can't say that.
What?
Nothing, don't worry about it. Make up the news. I was gonna make a joke, but then I'm like, this is the morning show. That's too dirty a joke for the morning show.
It's before noon.
It's before noon.
Oh, God. I don't have things to look at anymore to, like, inspire me. So this is very
that
difficult,
is tough. Yeah.
right? Like, I can't, like, get
You don't have the, like,
inspiration.
bookshelf off to the left there.
Exactly.
I should just start
So much-
stacking things on this shelf here.
Just, like, random items.
I'm assuming the people who listen to this podcast, this is the best part. When we're talking about, like, the room
Oh, they
that
probably
they can't
just
see.
skip forward. They're like, these guys, do they know they're doing a podcast? Well. The news.
Mm-hmm. That's the segment.
The news. Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So there's news.
You've said that.
Mm-hmm. It's my process.
All right, I'm gonna lead you in, and we're gonna do this. All right,
God.
you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, everyone's favorite segment, Clarus makes up the news.
Hi. I'm Clarus. And I have news.
Oh, news.
I have the newsiest of news.
Okay.
Yeah. On that note, Newsies is getting a sequel. And it's gonna be the Newsies Go to Santa Fe. Yeah, and they all get like their trip sponsored by like one of those Make-A-Wish companies.
One of the Make-A-Wish companies?
Yeah.
Is there more than one Make-A-Wish company?
There's I don't know when Newsies takes place. So they're getting sponsored by the Make-A-Wish company because the kid who has like the crutches, he's got like the bad leg.
You mean Crutchy?
Crutchy, that's it. That's the one. Crutchy is he's gonna die, and so they're sending all the Newsies to Santa Fe, and the plot line is that they get there and Santa Fe is not what they expected. Santa Fe has actually been taken over by the Secret Invasion. So the Skrull then capture the Newsies to try to recruit them for their plans and send them back to New York City. Watch and find out and see what happens if the Newsies cave or not.
So, my question is Christian Bale coming back to do the sequel?
Yeah.
Why are you
Was he in
looking
the
at...
Broadway show?
No, he's in the movie.
Oh, I haven't seen the movie. I saw it live when my friends did it. No, Christian Bale has...
You haven't even seen the Broadway. You saw the Toronto production of Newsies.
A Toronto production of Newsies.
How did you not know Christian Bale's in Newsies? It's like, if you want to see Christian Bale
got
sing...
a really strong jawline, right?
What?
Christian Bale. I'm trying to picture his face. I'm so sorry.
You don't know who Christian Bale is?
I know who it is.
He's Batman.
Which one?
The Bale Batman. The Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight. Batman Begins.
Oh, okay. No, he's not back. It's Robert Pattinson. Yeah.
Does Robert Pattinson sing in this movie?
Yes, actually. He's been taking lessons.
I love that we have a Russian, like,
I don't know what this
Ghostbusters hacker.
is. Ghostbusters hacker.
Should I try and read the Russian?
Go for it. It's actually.
Can't, you just deleted it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Well, that was the news today. I can't believe I love when I say someone like uber famous, and you're just like I have no idea. You nope out on like people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If people don't stay relevant in my head, like you don't live there rent free.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you left for like a week, I'd forget what you look like. I'm kidding. You're the exception. You are the only exception. I'm sorry. Just being honest.
Lego The Skywalker Saga finally has a release date. The long-awaited video game that's about all of the 9 Skywalker movies is coming in April. There's a new trailer. The game looks really cool because of like the lightsabers and the Lego. It's gonna be a good time, and I'm very excited for it.
It's Star Wars. You don't seem very excited.
I am very excited. My wife just punctured my heart with a dagger of hostility and angst.
Was making a joke, okay? I was being funny.
And now the only joy left in my life is the anticipation that we will be getting Lego The Skywalker Saga.
We're going to LA.
For work. It's gonna be hot.
We're going to Disney.
If it's open.
Okay, all right.
No, I'm good. I'm actually very excited for Lego The Skywalker Saga. I'm a big fan of the Lego Star Wars games, and I've been waiting, like so many people, I've been waiting for this game for forever, and it's just kind of been one of those ones that felt like COVID was just kind of making it hard for them to get it out, hard for them to finish it up. But we finally got a date, April 5th, 2022, just a little bit before my birthday there. I'm very excited to finally dive in and play the Lego Skywalker Saga, which is basically just playing through the Lego Star Wars games that I've already played, but mixed into one game.
Oh, really?
Well, because they've done like the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and I think they did Force Awakens. I can't remember what that one was called. So they've done them before, but this one is going to be like all of it mashed up into this big like uber Star Wars game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's sort of like what they did with like Marvel's the Avengers Lego game, where they kind of they threw all of the characters in. You could play with characters from the entirety of the Marvel universe. They did the same thing with DC Supervillains. Which was a fantastic Lego game. DC Supervillains on Game Pass, I think. It's on. It was the PlayStation Plus game last month. DC Supervillains is really, really fun. Mm-hmm. These Lego games have come a long way in terms of graphics and capabilities, and so I'm really excited to jump into this one in April. Yeah,
I actually never got into the Lego games. My brothers really enjoyed them, and I just, I don't know. I didn't love them, so I just spent my time playing other things. But yeah, I know a lot of people really, really love the Lego games, so this is cool.
They're super cozy.
Yeah.
Like, the thing I love about the Lego games is that, like, I can just sit down and play the Lego games, and it's just like a nice blanket. You know what I mean? Of like, I can just like cuddle up, play the Lego game. It's not too hard. The jokes are funny, and it's not like intense gaming.
Yeah.
But I don't always want intense gaming. I don't always want to be in a hardcore Nuzlocke for the rest of my life. I do like sometimes having something that I can just pick up and just like kind of. It's more distraction gaming than it is like competition gaming. But sometimes I like distraction gaming, and the Lego games do a really good job of blending humor and enjoyability and making games that are for all ages. Because, a lot of video gaming nowadays is very adult driven because the gaming industry has ballooned the way that it has. And there's a lot more money in adults playing video games than in like younger kids playing video games, which is a flip from what it used to be, right?
Yeah.
Teenagers are obviously still the biggest chunk of that pie just because they have the time.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know how. I didn't.
I don't know either, but they're always in the Fortnite.
I guess so, yeah.
But gaming has kind of swung more adult, and to see games like Lego still coming out that make gaming accessible to all ages, I think is really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's dope.
All right. Should we get into our final main story for the day, which is going to be the weekend box office for the past weekend.
The weekend box office for the past weekend.
Let's dive into it. Ooh, did I not put that on the... Oh, I didn't put it on here. I'm going to have to use the mouse.
How dare.
We had a pretty interesting weekend because in its second weekend in release, Scream actually dropped below Spider-Man No Way Home. Scream had managed to beat Spider-Man last weekend, but had a pretty significant drop of about 2/3, down to 12.4 million in its second weekend. Spider-Man No Way Home, the gift that keeps on giving, only dropped about 29% to 14.1 million, and retook the number one spot at the American box office. At the same time, Spider-Man No Way Home also swung into some higher places on the all-time charts that we're going to get into in a second here. Sing 2 is at 5.7 million for the weekend. And in fourth place, Redeeming Love, a movie I had literally never heard of, is at 3.7 million. And that place was where the 355 was last week, but the 355 fell below the Kingsman. Kingsman, I think, has just some stronger reviews, a little bit more interest there. Kingsman managed to hold on to number 5 for another week at 1.7 million. I can't imagine we'll see it on this chart next week, although you never know in these COVID times how things are going to go. But let's talk about Redeeming Love, because had you ever heard of this movie coming into this weekend?
No.
Right? Did you watch the trailer I sent you?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's super weird.
Yeah, you sent me... I started watching the trailer and I was like, oh, this is like gonna be a really cool story about like a woman who is able to like break free of being forced into like the sex industry at a young age. And I was like, she's gonna take charge of her life and figure out a way to get out of this situation that she's in. It's not that at all. It's that some guy thinks that she's hot and so is like, I'm gonna save you. She's like, I don't know how to love. And then they have sex a few times.
Well, and what's weird about it is that the trailer that we watched is cut like a Christian movie. And it has the like Jesus song and like the like Christian imagery of like purity and like saving and overcoming sin. And it feels like one of those like Christian rom-coms.
Well, and the song in it literally is like, I'll save you.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
But it's about prostitution. It was one of the weirdest... Hey! We just got a Twitch follower while we're live on YouTube. That is so funny. I didn't realize the alerts were on.
Amazing. Incredible.
So yeah, it is this weird movie that like feels like it's supposed to be a Christian movie, but is dealing with like mostly prostitution. It's strange. Hi Finn. But also the fact that it managed to make $3.7 million when I'd never heard of it.
Literally never heard of it ever. And
and we talk about this stuff for a living. Like our job is to know what's coming out. And this movie, surprisingly me, it came out of nowhere.
And it's based on a novel.
Oh yeah, based on a bestseller.
Yeah,
that I've never heard of.
Like Yeah.
Eric Thorpe only knows about it because it has Famke Johnson in it, who I want to be in a good movie, but she never really has been in post X-Men. Fair. Poor Famke.
I don't know who that is.
I mean, not really poor Famke. She's like one of the most beautiful women.
Is she the main girl?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was watching the trailer for this movie and I was like, what?
No, she's not the main girl in this. She's in this movie. She would be older now.
Oh, I don't know.
I think she's the brothel owner.
Oh, gotcha. I was like, I don't...
So Redeeming Love comes in at number 4. Congratulations to that movie. You made $3.7 million. I don't know what your budget was, but hopefully it helped.
Was less.
In terms of
wild.
the weekend box office, the big story of the weekend is that Spider-Man No Way Home managed to swing past The Lion King, not the one you like, the one you don't, and Jurassic World to be the number 6 all-time global box office movie.
I can't believe people saw The Lion King. I mean, I can't believe I spent money on The Lion King. But I figured
that's what you'd want to talk about in this story.
I'm really happy about Spider-Man. Spider-Man deserves it, for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised. Jurassic World and Lion King were so close to each other. I definitely thought Jurassic World way outperformed The Lion King. That was definitely a surprise in reading the story.
Yeah.
But to know that Spider-Man No Way Home, in the middle of a pandemic where a lot of theaters are closed, theaters in the largest market in Canada are all closed.
Yeah.
This movie's still bringing in money week over week.
And if if they open back up again before it goes out of theaters, like we would probably go back.
Oh yeah, I would go watch it again.
Right? Like
I would love to go see it in IMAX again.
Yeah.
I will say the important next milestone for Spider-Man is that if it can make $40 million more domestically, it will pass Avatar in the United States and Canada to be the number 3 domestic grosser of all time.
What are the other two?
Endgame is number 2, and Force Awakens is number 1.
Okay. Interesting.
You seem surprised by that.
Just sad.
When Force Awakens came out,
I know. It was like, oh my God, Star Wars is back, and I just,
It's a good movie.
They don't deserve the number 1
Force
spot.
Awakens is very good.
Even if I was like, yeah, I like The Force Awakens, it does not deserve number 1.
Why not?
Because it's not that good.
Okay, but how does a movie deserve number 1? Number 1 is just excitement. There is no excitement quite like the excitement for Force Awakens.
For sure. And that's why Endgame is up there as well, because it's, it was for Star Wars, it was making a comeback, and for Endgame, it was kind of not, it had like a big conclusion to a story it needed to tell. I'm just mad about it. It's fine.
Rockman says there was a little bit of hype for The Force Awakens. A little bit. You know what? We're in the box office, so let's talk about Eric Thorpe Review's comment here. Do you think The Batman will be the second pandemic-era movie to pass $1 billion?
No.
I think there is a 50-50 shot.
I think it's gonna be close. But the fact that this Batman movie really does not look like it's for everybody is going to hurt it.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is that it's 2 hours and 55 minutes long.
It's really long.
Yeah.
And it's not for all ages. And even for adults, it's pretty dark.
Only rated PG-13.
I mean, those trailers...
Oh, I know.
If I watched that trailer and I had, like, a 10-year-old kid, I wouldn't,
Yeah, there's no way. I would have taken a 10-year-old to see Batman Begins.
Right.
Not Dark Knight, but Batman Begins I would have.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't take a 10-year-old to see this movie. But also, it's 3 hours long.
Yeah, it's so long.
Here's the thing.
They have to earn that.
Well, and here's something you have to know, right? If you don't follow how projection and like cinema times works, if your movie is longer than 2.5 hours, what happens is that just because of the reality of time, you lose a screening every day. There is one less screening of your movie every single day in every single theater because your movie is over 2.5 hours, right? And so there is value in a movie like Venom being like a clip 90 minutes, or Venom 2 at least, where Venom 2 gets more screenings per day than the Batman will. That affects box office long term. Ultimately, the Batman will come down to word of mouth. The Batman will come down to whether or not it is good.
Yeah, if it's good, like, people will see to our, like, the time on it, and they won't care, right? If it's good, I won't care that it's long either. But you have to earn that amount of time.
People in chat are saying Endgame was 3 hours. Endgame was not a movie. Endgame was a cultural event. And you can't compare the two, right? Yeah. Like, Avengers Endgame was the biggest movie event of all time. There has never been anything like it. The coming together of 23 films starring almost every celebrity on the planet to come together to pay off a story that was told a year earlier that ended in one of the most gruesome cliffhangers in the history of cinema. Like, Endgame is not the Batman. They're not comparable. The Batman is the first in this Batman series. We don't even know if we like Robert Pattinson as Batman yet, culturally. Yeah. We don't know where he's going to fall on the Batmans.
That's going to be a big part of it, too.
3 hours is a long time.
Yeah, I think that production really thinks that people are gonna love him and this portrayal of him, and like, I am excited for that, and I am excited for this movie. But Eric Thorpe, the reason that this movie is not for everybody is because a lot of the like footage in the trailers, at least, does not portray Batman like a good person hero. Yeah. He like violently assaults people.
Well, and even Robert Pattinson has said that is like part of what they're going for. Is like
Yeah.
they're trying to make him. He's like, I don't want to play a hero if he's clean. I wanted him to be dirty.
Yeah, and like that's the story that they're looking to tell, and like that's fine. Like I'm always interested in people having depth and layers and backstory and that kind of thing, but that it is not going to be the kind of movie that everybody is willing to watch.
I'm gonna point out. But Eric Thorpe said, keep in mind though, the previous 2 solo Batman movies passed $1 billion. Yes, but Batman Begins didn't. And that is what is important.
First one.
Yeah. And the last movie to have Batman in the title was Batman v Superman. And that movie did not make $1 billion.
That movie is so bad.
That movie was beat by Aquaman.
So bad.
Well, yeah, the theatrical, and honestly, like Batman v Superman was really hampered by the quality of the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
Right? Like the director's cut of that movie is a step and a half ahead of the theatrical cut.
Yeah, the reason that Spider-Man is doing so well is it's Marvel. It has the clout for being Marvel.
Yeah.
It is pretty much all ages. You know, like you can take younger kids to that, and most of them are gonna be absolutely fine. You know, there's maybe some like scary moments with the villains, but they're like less like real nitty gritty villains and more like CGI, like big. I don't know, like they're fake looking in a sense of not they look bad. You know,
they're cartoonish.
Cartoonish, yeah. And
there's no blood. You know, well, there's a little bit of blood on Tom's face after the fact, but there's no like
yeah, exactly. And I think that the pandemic. I think that if we weren't in a pandemic, that Batman would have like a decent chance of crossing 1 billion because of,
more than decent. If we weren't in a pandemic, I would be I don't know that movie theaters will be open here when it comes out. I don't know how we're going to see it.
I don't know if movie theaters are going to be open, keeping in mind that like people are still
across the border to see
kids.
Batman.
Yeah, maybe.
We might drive to New York to see Batman.
Keeping in mind people are still homeschooling kids now, right? You can't take your children along to this movie with you.
You might, and a lot of people will. A lot of people don't care about that. They don't. I'm just gonna say, a lot of people
of a certain age.
A lot of people will see PG-13 and they'll go, okay, it's fine. Seriously, they don't care. I know. I'm just saying they don't care. Eric, I look. I'm fine with you saying that the Legendary Edition of BVS is good. The theatrical cut's bad. Like the theatrical cut's a mess.
It's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
And here's the thing. That's not me saying like Zack Snyder did a bad job. The theatrical cut was a mandate by the studio, and the theatrical cut is bad. It cuts out why things happen. It literally is almost unwatchable because it's like you just take random scenes out of any movie. Any great movie, it just becomes like, why? Why is this happening? And then you watch the Legendary Edition and you're like, wait, you had the explanation the whole time and you just cut it out for muddled nothing?
And I think that like the general consensus of it as well is that a lot of people, don't like it.
Well, but it's the same with the Snyder Cut versus the Justice Cut, right? Like, you have to have the explanation. Like
the previous Batman thing that came out, other than Joker, but it's just not Batman. But the last thing that had Batman is it does have a lot of negativity surrounding it.
Oh yeah, even the Justice League is still mired in like, you know.
I mean, yeah.
But the warehouse fight's awesome, but the warehouse fight is also in the
it's not redeemable.
Is in the Legendary Cut, right? Like the Legendary Cut is just it just makes sense, and the theatrical cut does not make sense.
Yeah, for sure.
There is a chunk of the middle of that movie that is just missing, and you can feel it, right? Like things just start happening. Characters are suddenly in places they don't need to be. The entire beginning of the movie with why the world is mad at Superman doesn't make any sense in the theatrical cut. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And then in the Legendary Cut, it totally does.
Yeah.
It 100% makes sense because they set it up. They actually show you what people are mad at Superman about.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers has done... And look, I'm not the biggest fan of Zack Snyder, right? I've made that clear. Mm-hmm. But Warner Brothers did him so dirty on every swing at the bat except Man of Steel. And Man of Steel, the theatrical cut, is awesome.
It's pretty good.
The end is a little too long. Like I've said before, I think the final fight with Zod just goes on too long. But that is my only complaint about Man... Well, and Jonathan's death. Those two things are my only complaints about Man of Steel. The rest of that movie is awesome. Like, really. The fight in Smallville in Man of Steel is fantastic.
There are definitely, like, really good parts of it. There, like you said, there are parts that I'm like... Like the end, that's the problem. You got to end on a high because that's the last thing people remember. And so for me, Man of Steel is just super mixed because the last thing that we got was this long fight where I was like, oh,
yeah,
just and that's tough, and that's just a part of storytelling for sure.
But yeah, I think that like Zack Snyder, I think Warner Brothers wanted the scope of Zack Snyder's vision until they got it. Yeah. And then they messed with it. They
screwed it up.
And then the best versions of every Zack Snyder movie, except Man of Steel, in my opinion, were not released in theaters.
Yeah. And honestly, Scode, I agree. I think that there was and sometimes is this idea that longer is worse, which is not always the case. You just have to earn it, right? And that's why
longer is harder to make money at. Because of theatrical release windows, longer means that your opening weekend box office is inherently less.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Endgame and you come out and every single theater in every single megaplex is only showing your movie. When Endgame came out, there was a theater in New York City that had 18 screens. And 17 of those 18 screens for Friday and Saturday were Endgame.
Yeah.
And every showing was sold out.
Yeah.
That is how you make money at 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you need those additional viewings. If there are no additional viewings, there just isn't a way to pull it off.
Well, and that's the thing is, I think if we weren't in a pandemic, that Batman would make $1 billion, but people are not but the fact is that it is a pandemic and people are still antsy about being in a room with other people for 3 hours.
I will say this though, there is nothing coming out before Batman. When Batman opens in theaters March 3rd, it will be fully alone.
Right, because Morbius got pushed to
Morbius
summer.
is going to be April 1st.
Oh, April.
So the one thing that Batman has going for it in a real strong way.
It's going to be the only option.
There's nothing coming out between now and then. So people are going to be waiting for the next big movie, I think. And there might be a movie in February that I'm forgetting about, but there's nothing huge, right? That's going for it. And there isn't another big March movie right after it. It's not like Batman has second week competition.
Right. They're going to kind of be riding their high for a while.
If the reviews and the word of mouth on the Batman are awesome, Batman can own March for the entire month and it can just rake in money. If the word of mouth is bad, I don't know what's going to happen with this movie because there is already a narrative out there that Robert Pattinson should have never been cast as Batman. There are people who think that way. I disagree. I think his performance in Good Time, the Safdie Brothers movie, more than makes him capable of playing Batman. I also think he's great as Bruce Wayne in Tenet. As British Bruce Wayne in Tenet.
I was like, what?
He basically, he's, you could show me his parts in Tenet and say that it's his audition to play Bruce Wayne, and I'd be like, yeah, he's great. He looks awesome. He's killing it. But if this movie is bad, then the narrative of Robert Pattinson should have never been Bruce Wayne will start being drug up by every single, toxic YouTube. You're going to see so many YouTube thumbnails from all those toxic, nerd channels on YouTube that are like, Robert Pattinson ruined Batman.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be what happened. Movies it's hard to make movies.
It's it's a lot of the time generally not the actor's fault.
John Elite for Life says, isn't Uncharted in February? John, I said there were no big movies coming out in February. There's no competition for Batman coming out in February.
Wow.
That movie does not look good.
And yeah.
Uncharted doesn't.
I'm sure it will be fine.
I have a feeling that the people who are going to love the Uncharted movie are going to be people who don't love the games. Because I feel like people who love the games are going to, it's going to be weird. Whether it's good or not, I think it'll be weird, but maybe it's good enough to overcome that. But I don't know. The stuff that I've seen so far has been less than exciting to me. They keep showing that Tom Holland climbing the luggage on the outside of the plane sequence as the selling point for this movie, and it's just so absurd. Insane. It's and you've shown me the entire scene now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, well, does anything else happen in this movie?
I couldn't tell you.
Because every trailer rests on that scene, and they released that whole scene.
Yep.
If that's gonna be the big scene that you're gonna sell your movie on, don't then release the big scene that you're selling your movie on, because now there's nothing about that scene I haven't seen already.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, all right.
I'm confused about it.
Yeah.
BD Nelson says Uncharted looks like either a legendary bomb or a surprise hit.
Yeah.
It depends on where Omicron's at in mid-February.
and that's tough,
right? Like,
yeah.
I have a feeling Batman's going to miss it. I feel like we're peaking Omicron right now. I think people will be mostly settled out of this wave by March. I feel like Batman is actually going to come. Batman's timing is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But Uncharted, I don't know. Uncharted in 2 weeks, that's going to be, or in 2.5 weeks, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be in, we're going to go see, are we going to see that?
Uncharted?
We'll have to go in LA.
No, I think it comes out the day after we come back.
The 17th?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's that Thursday, because we fly back on the Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, oh, damn.
I don't think we'll be able to see it. I would love to. I love Tom Holland. Richard Sims 7 it says Tom Holland has apologized for the movie before it came out.
I did see that floating around.
Talk, and I'm going to...
Gonna look at it. Hindered by general reception of DC movies now. Scott, I think that is also something that they're gonna have to fight against, right? Because DC makes big hits and big misses. Like, what's the last DC movie we watched? Wonder Woman? 84? Wonder Woman 84 was
no, there was the...
garbage.
There was the Snyder Cut was the last one.
Oh, also, Snyder Cut was terrible. And so I'm, like, really just hoping that Batman is good. So that we can, like... jump back into it, because DC has made good movies. They've made great movies. They've made fantastic movies. Let's get back into that, please and thank you. Stop bombing.
I don't know. I don't see. I'm not seeing any like. I'm not seeing any major stories about the Uncharted movie, or about an apology. If you have like a quote, I would love to read it. But
yeah,
Batman, I feel, has been hindered by general reception of DC movies.
Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad was good. Yes.
Ontario theaters reopened January 31st. Okay. The Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was awesome.
It was fantastic. Honestly, the Snyder Cut was just a big jerk off fest for.
Yeah, people. She doesn't like the Snyder Cut.
No.
I do, but she doesn't.
No. If like 20% of your movie is in slow motion, it's like 15% too much. I
agree with that. I have a problem with the way that Zack Snyder uses slow motion for everything, which diminishes the
moments when it's good.
Because the way that he does slow motion around the Flash is so good. Mm-hmm. Like the Flash's slow motion sequences, the turning back time at the end of the movie obviously is like an epic way to end your film, but he uses slow motion for so many other things that it gets in the way of the storytelling of the Flash's slow motion.
Yes, agreed.
And that's just it's a weird.
Yeah, we don't need to get into a full Snyder Cut review right now. We do actually have a spoiler chat on it.
I think it's a 7 out of 10. I think there's like room for improvement on it, but I did like it. Yeah, and I liked it. I liked it in black and white as well. I think it's worse in black and white in some places. I think the underwater stuff in the black and white edition doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
the color, the above ground black and white stuff looked really solid.
Yeah.
Until the final fight. Honestly, the black and white hurts the final fight, in my opinion. Just because sometimes there's a lot of like white lightning on screen that is distracting, whereas in the color version, the color is popping, so you don't notice the white lightning popping off as much. Yeah. It's a movie. It's a movie I liked enough that I sat down and watched it again. A week later in black and white.
Again? Oh, you did.
But I sat down and watched the black and white.
You didn't sit down and watch it. You like had it on.
Well, yeah, but that's how I watch everything.
I guess.
That's as much of watching as I do with anything.
Yeah, I don't know. The Snyder Cut is a movie that's a great example of a movie that is way too long and does not earn it. I have no problem watching a 4-hour movie. I absolutely love The Lord of the Rings and will watch that any day. Snyder Cut, no, never again.
Yeah, but the Lord of the Rings is one 12-hour movie.
True.
Like, you can't watch any of them on their own.
I mean, I have before, I haven't had time, but yes.
I think the biggest criticism I can levy towards The Lord of the Rings is that it's not something you watch on its own.
Yeah, you have to put aside 12 hours if you would like to. Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
No, but I think the Lord of the Rings trilogy goes into that sits in a caliber of masterpieces that, like, there's very few films in that. And honestly, I think there's maybe 2 superhero movies that go in there, in my opinion, which is Into the Spider-Verse, which I think is a masterpiece of animation. Yep. I think Into the Spider-Verse might be the greatest animated film of all time.
Yeah, I think so. That's
and Spider-Man 2 to me might go into masterpieces in terms of like storytelling. Yeah. Yeah, I in terms of like the emotional storytelling of Spider-Man 2, like I don't know that you can do it better than that movie does.
I don't love Spider-Man 2 as much as you do, but all right.
That's fair.
But no, I agree that Spider-Verse is one of those like once in a almost like once in a lifetime movie where there won't be anything like it. Yeah, they're making a second one, but like that one did things that just like blew people's minds when they watched it, you know? Which Spider-Man 2 like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2.
The one that's called Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
For me, Watchmen goes pretty up there as well, but as a single watch movie. Mm-hmm. The Watchmen comic is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
The Watchmen movie misunderstands the point, but that's fine.
I have not seen it, so Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption is a masterpiece.
That I haven't
100%.
watched it since school, but it definitely left an impression.
Oh, it is one of the greatest movies of all time. Like Shawshank Redemption is
Yeah.
Pretty remarkable. Lord of the Rings movies were done. Studio didn't put much stock in good TV shows. What? Titan? I'm not sure. If Percy Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies didn't exist, they would have done a TV show rather than movies. I would not at the time. No TV show could have afforded to do it, right?
No, they could not have had the budget for that.
What? Snyder misunderstanding the point of a comic? How is that possible? It never happens, except every time.
Never happens.
Except every time. Zack Snyder is perhaps the greatest cinematographer, director of all time who doesn't understand people almost at all.
No, I think, like, you know, like, people have that conspiracy that, like, some people are lizards. He does not understand humans.
Yeah.
And, like, and, like, it's on the other hand, it's tough because Snyder does some incredible things.
Oh, he visually he does incredible things.
Right.
He just doesn't get the people involved. And it's consistent, right? Like
when it's like when we watched Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
Nobody is a human being in that movie.
Yeah.
They're all like cut, copy, paste, two-dimensional like faces. I don't know, like it's so weird.
James Kevin says they changed the ending of Watchmen just like Lynch changed the ending of Dune. Yeah, but yeah.
I haven't watched the David Lynch Dune yet, and I actually do want to see it. So
I love that movie.
I know you do.
I've never read the book though. I've only seen the 2 Dune movies, and I have a preference that is not the popular opinion.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Although I have a feeling that when the second one comes out, Denis Villeneuve's Dune will become my preferred Dune.
When the second one comes out,
and I keep saying this, I liked Dune, but it's like Lord of the Rings. It's like, okay, Fellowship of the Rings was fun.
No,
but like,
it's
I want
not.
to see the story finish.
No, it is not like Lord of the Rings. The Fellowship of the Ring by itself is still a fantastic movie.
Oh, I'm saying I agree that the Fellowship of the Ring is better, but if I only got the Fellowship of the Ring, I'd be like, all right, well, I don't know what the point of that was.
Sure, but like Dune you can't. No, you do not compare.
I think that all part ones are inherently flawed until part 2 comes out.
The part 1s definitely have a harder time, but Lord of the Rings did it perfectly. Like that's like the.
Oh, but we can say that now because they stuck the landing. But like if Return of the King had been a sloppy mess,
then Helm's Deep would still have been incredible.
Yeah, but you wouldn't go back and watch them as much.
Yes,
like,
I would.
Your love for them would not be the same if it didn't end on such a great note. Like Denis Villeneuve's Dune is. I really like it, right? Like I like a lot of what Denis Villeneuve did. I just felt hollow about the story ultimately.
Well,
and they can fix that, but not fix that, but if they pay it off, then I will go back and look at the first one differently.
Yeah, I just have a really big problem with what they did with certain characters because I read the book right before I saw the movie. And like the one strong female character that you have, they literally just like ruined, and I was like, okay, well, never mind then.
Erica is saying that maybe he's a lizard because all of DC's, Snyder's DC movies have touched on an emotional level. I think Snyder's DC movies are his best characters. I think that outside of the DC universe...
Because he has source material.
Outside of the DC universe, he struggles with characters more than he does in DC. Mm-hmm. I think that even within DC, though, there are definitely character development struggles. especially in terms of like pacing character development, can be tough in Snyder movies. Man of Steel struggles with that. And it goes back to like the time I knew that I wasn't going to be fully on board with Zack Snyder's DC universe was the way that John Kent dies.
Yeah.
Right? Because it has nothing to do with teaching Superman the lesson that he learns from his dad's death.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, I always knew like there is this linchpin at the center of the Snyderverse that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I still like the movies, right? Like I'll watch the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition with you if you want. I'll like chug a few beers and let's go, right? I'll watch Zack Snyder's Justice League again with friends. I won't watch it on my own again probably. It's very long. I don't have 4 hours of my life very often, but there are like beats of that movie that I'll turn on, when Clarus is streaming, and I'll just watch the fight, right? Just because I like the final fight. I think it's really well designed and shot. I like it more now that I've watched it a few times and I kind of understand the scope of it a little bit better. I think that honestly, like I think that if Zack Snyder could just bring in like a script person to help him kind of just get the pacing of the character development cleaner in his movies, I think that with his visuals, and he's a master of the camera, right? Like I don't know that there are many directors who can move a camera in a scene the way that he does. I think that he's a master. He needs like George Lucas had with Marsha Lucas.
I was
right?
gonna say it's the Lucases.
He needs a partner who really understands character development, and then I think it would really benefit his films in terms of them having a wider appeal than they have right now.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Because no one makes better images than he does. I honestly like there's probably 1,000 different paintings in Justice League that you could hang in your home, and it's art, right? Like Zack Snyder makes art films.
Yeah.
And I will never say that he doesn't. I love his images, barring some of the CGI in Man of Steel, but they were figuring out the DC universe back then, so I forgive that one because it was the first.
But like the credit intro to Army of the Dead.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Like
yeah, the first 20 minutes of Army of the Dead are awesome.
Yeah.
It falls a little bit apart after that.
yeah.
But the plot kind of falls apart after that.
Yeah.
This really just became Zack Snyder talk. Welcome to Nerdy Nightly Zack Snyder talk. We talk about him a lot. Here's the thing I will say about Zack Snyder.
He stays relevant.
We're still talking about him.
Yeah, we're still talking about him.
And I have more thoughts, right? Like, I can't say the same about a lot of Marvel movies.
No
I like them.
True.
They are an easier watch.
Yeah.
They go down smooth.
And that's why Marvel makes money.
Yeah. But there's less to talk about in most, not all, but most Marvel movies than in any Zack Snyder movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Richard Sim 7 says 300 was great. Yes, but 300 doesn't have any characters in it. It just has muscles. It's just a bunch of muscles.
We like muscles.
Also, the Lena Headey storyline it hasn't aged well, but
yeah.
Marvel movies are easy to digest and don't make you think. Entertaining but bland. I wouldn't say bland.
Bland is not the right word for it. They're safe.
They're safe. Yeah.
The Marvel movies are safe.
I don't think that like bland movies to me are ones that have no excitement. There is so much excitement in Marvel movies. There's just not a lot of like depth.
And there's no like big reaches. Like there's like they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. And most Marvel movies don't miss because they don't make big swings.
Yeah.
And like that's fine.
And they're exciting in a way that like people that like I kind of know what the exciting bits of a Marvel movie are going to be going in, and I'm fine. I love that, right? Like I have no problem with you telling me stories in a way that I know I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah. Like they have what works.
And occasionally they pop off, right? Like I think that Endgame pops off. I think Infinity War pops off. I think Civil War pops off in a couple places. I think Winter Soldier's a legit movie. I think Winter Soldier might be the best Marvel movie still in terms of like filmmaking quality. No Way Home definitely pops off. Like I think that like they are. Yeah, I agree with Richardson 7 though. Guardians was not safe. Guardians of the Galaxy is the big swing of the Marvel universe.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Marvel's made 100 movies. Like how many?
No, 26, 27.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like the majority of them are like the story that we kind of already know and understand in a sense, right? There are definitely things that they do within them to make them stand out, but none of them are like big crazy swings like
Guardians would be the one that I would say is different.
For sure. I think
and
Guardians...
taking a chance on James Gunn, whose provocative movie structure before that, like,
yeah.
James Gunn wasn't making safe films. Slither
No.
is not a Marvel movie,
well,
right?
But that's the thing, right? Like, the Suicide Squad is a huge swing, right? That is like a swing and a home run, right? Marvel does not take big risks like that most of the time.
Yeah, but even people like Thor Ragnarok, I would say that after Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor Ragnarok wasn't a risk.
No.
Taika Waititi is,
they knew
without
what they
a
were
doubt, one of the funniest men alive. Taika Waititi has never made a bad movie.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't know that Taika Waititi has made a bad anything. If you look at Hunt for the Wilder People, if you look for What We Do in the Shadows, Taika Waititi makes banger films. I don't know that that's a risk after Guardians of the Galaxy to be like, hey, Taika Waititi, do your version of what James Gunn did. And he crushed it, right?
Yeah.
I would not say that was I wouldn't say that was a risky move. I think putting things in Taika Waititi's hands is one of the safest things you can do. Because you are going to get a good movie out of it.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
He played Hitler in a comedy, and it fucking worked. And it was one of the most critically acclaimed movies that came out that year. Taika Waititi turned Hitler into a joke, played him, and it worked. There is no man who could make a Marvel movie safer than the man who made Hitler non-controversial.
Yeah, it's true. Absolutely. And that's the thing is, once Marvel knows that something is a hit, they will take that and they will, in a same sense, recycle it. They won't do the exact same thing most of the time. Like, they're not... Look, sometimes, but like, they're like...
Shang-Chi is Black Panther.
Shut up, I love Shang-Chi.
Oh, no. They're both incredible. But, like, Shang-Chi owes a lot to Black Panther in terms of, like, how that movie's structured.
Yeah.
It works like hell, don't get me wrong. I love it. But, like, they're very... Marvel finds things that works, and then it puts a different coat of paint on them sometimes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And that's where it gets the criticism of that from. And that's why, like, I think safe... Marvel, it generally plays it safe, is like fairly accurate. I definitely not all the time, but yeah.
That wasn't me. I want to be very clear. That wasn't me taking a dig at Shang-Chi or Black Panther. I think both of those films are incredible.
Both absolutely incredible. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah. I think Shang-Chi is remarkable, and Simu Liu is going to be a star for the next 20 years at least, because his charisma is next level. Also, Tony Leung is the hottest man in that movie, and I will not explain anything.
Are we taking no more questions at this point?
We have to get out of the house.
We have to leave in 30 minutes, yeah.
We have to leave probably sooner than that.
20 minutes.
Because there might be traffic. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be the end of the Nightly Morning Show. Thank you so much for this conversation that was about the news and then went off the rails because I like to talk about things.
No, it's fun.
Clarus, do you have anything to plug at the moment, aside from your YouTube channel absolutely blowing up?
Yeah, if you want to go over to my YouTube channel, it's doing good. I also finally made a video about the incident with Honey Burdette. So if you were following that at all, if you're interested to know what happened and how I lost out on $117, that video exists.
Yes, it does.
And then I'm going to be streaming on Wednesday. I am not streaming today, unfortunately. We're going to get our boosters. But I will be streaming, that's the word, on Wednesday.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I know that we are at the peak of Omicron, and I know it's risky in a lot of places. So just be safe.
Stay safe.
If you are not fully vaccinated yet, please get vaccinated. It is the best thing that you can do for yourself and your health.
And for others.
And for the people that you love around you. As always, you can follow me over at Nerdy Nightly over on Twitch. If I'm feeling good tonight, I might stream some Pokemon.
Depending on how the booster feels.
We have to finish this Nuzlocke before Friday because Arceus comes out. And I think we're both streaming Arceus on Friday.
We are both streaming Arceus on Friday.
I think she's going to do first. I'm going to do second. I might stream all night, depending on how much I love it. So get ready for that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Grab your coffee.
And as always, y'all, my name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
This was the Nightly Morning Show, which means that it's currently morning. But tonight, I want you to do one thing. What is that?
Do something nerdy.
Yeah. That.
Bye, guys.